So we realize there's a path to home ownership, and then we educate them on buying homes. So therefore we creating each community 100, 200 people that are potential buyers. So what the local realtors are, we're talking to Scott Evans about doing classes and saying, hey, we do a class. Can we help our residents learn about home buyer ownership, go qualify, work with a local realtor and go buy a house? And maybe Scott does a loan or something like that. So that's the vision that we're creating to say nationwide, can we have thousands of people that are 10% are buying homes every year because of our mission, what we believe in.
Smart. Love it.
And we get our loss to lease recapture. So I don't have to have aggressive rent growth, right? I could keep my 3 to 4% rent growth because my turnover is where I'm capturing my loss to lease because I have more people leaving to go buy houses.
Yeah, that's smart. All right, everybody, welcome back. It's been a while to another episode of Get the Cashflow Game with K and K, but there's no K because she is on holiday, leaving me again. But today we're going to get into probably, I'm not going to give too much away, but I think there's going to be a good story today. What do you think, Larry?
It's a great story to tell. The experience of it all, for sure.
We got Larry Blackman in the house. Larry, in a minute, just give us a little background about you. I've known Larry for too long.
Yeah. Been in the financial service business 4 decades. I met up with Crystal and Kenny about 15 years ago.
Damn, it's that long. Wow,
it's
been that long. Yeah.
Adult kids. I needed some help with a client of mine who was looking for a hard money loan. He jumped on the excitement of all the money we made. We went and visited with him, gave him some great ideas. And I go, Kenny knows what he's doing. So I developed a relationship. And in the go-go times of 210, we helped a lot of people. And I'm big on networking and referrals. And I met up with now Demetre, who I bought a building with a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And his has a very unique focus in the real estate business. And I like the product so much, I bought it. So I'm very excited to introduce Kenny and Demetre together and talk about their story.
Yeah, Demetre, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We literally just met, and it's funny. Larry called me, said, "Let's do a podcast. You're in here," and he's and then literally, I think that day I saw you on somebody's clip on Instagram. I think it was Dre.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Evans, and I was like, well, I don't know if Siri was listening to us or whatever, but so then I read up about you. So can you give us a little bit of background on what you got going on, how you got started? I know it's going to be a little long, your story, and then we'll kind of get into the questions.
Yeah. First off, our company is Elevate Commercial. We are a socially responsible, fully vertically integrated real estate company that focuses on manufactured housing, which as mobile home parks. Our story started as from the concept of I was that kid, growing up in Fresno, California, and also Southern California. I grew up in lower income housing, and as a child, we worked our way up. And so I look at our community as a way to help our residents elevate how I elevated in life and create opportunities for the youth, but also help the upward mobility of our residents and using our personal experience and our staff that is focused on the impactful ways of helping our communities. We've created a unique structure and a model and a way to build an industry. And, we've done over $120 million in transactions, and we're soon to be $150 million. And we have a unique model that we like and we believe in, and we have Fannie and Freddie behind us to help us scale this to a larger level.
You guys got started in 2015?
Absolutely.
How do you get started? Because everybody, you don't just jump into this business, and it's like jumping in swimming with sharks,
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people do, right? A lot of people in the business now, especially in the last 5 years, they jumped in, quit their job, raised money. A lot of it hasn't worked out good. Yeah. It's worked out better for you than others probably.
Absolutely.
But how has it been since then? Also, if you can talk about how you get in this business and talk about how is since you've been what have you seen change just in your industry since you started? It's like almost 9 years?
9 years. Interesting. You got to be cut a certain way. And how we got started is taking a step back. I attended Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. At Cal Poly, I met a good friend named Antonio Marquez of Community Realty Partners. Later on, we teamed up and I took equity stake in a number of deals, and I ran acquisitions for his company when they went from 2,000 units to 10,000 units. I was running acquisitions, and I was getting involved with operations, and that naturally led to a colleague named Jeremiah Boucher, who's well known in the manufactured housing space. Like, Demetre, I have this portfolio, I'm trying to sell it. my financials are a mess on this project, and let me, can you fly to Vegas and spend some time with me? And I flew to Vegas and looked at his financials, restructured his financials. He sold that portfolio to a group called Boa Vida. And from there, that was our start. We partnered on 2 transactions thereafter. Keep in mind, I knew nothing about manufactured housing. I knew multifamily. And, we bought a deal in Maine and bought a deal in Idaho. And, I operated those deals from day one, just from my natural experience. Because he was like, hey, Demetre, we're partners. I know I'm teaching you about plumbing and infrastructure, but the rest is on you. And so it was just, I learned a lot from our vendors during that time frame. And once I figured out the infrastructure part of the business, the operation was just natural. I mean, I've been a quarterback. I played quarterback in college and youth all the way up. So being a leader and leading and making decisions and keeping it simple, offense, defense, special teams, right? Income, expenses, and then the infrastructure is your special teams. I knew we had to be great at special teams to win in that space. And so we just figured it out, brought concepts from our background in sports, brought concepts for our background in multifamily, and then learned the infrastructure from our friend. And from there, we just took off from there and we started buying and acquiring deals. And then we realized a lot of people were, which you'll hear about, they buy deals in these small markets because they're great prices. And we were like, you know what? This is a supply and demand business. If I buy in these little small towns, I'm gonna be out of business. We went hyper focused and slowed our growth and focus on core markets, key areas. And so we'll go into, if it is the Midwest, we're in Columbus, Ohio. We're in the suburbs, the wealthy suburbs of Cleveland, the wealthy suburbs of Detroit, the Idaho markets, the Montanas. And we started focusing on markets where we saw the population growth, but also we saw that there's a demand. And for us, is if apartment rents are 2/3, let's say our lot rents are 1/3 of apartment rents, we know we won. And so for us, it was just straight looking at the analytics, say what makes logical sense in this model. Let's develop something that's unique. And then from there, let's change the culture of these properties, which you don't talk about, create this momentum. And then we're creating communities. These are not mobile home parks, not trailer parks. These are not coaches. I even call my lender out. When they say coaches, I'm gonna hang up on you. We're not talking about this right now. Like, we changed the whole culture of the industry, and that's been our unique mission and strategy to grow and scale.
That's smart. Yeah, I think basically what you're saying in our world is people chase yield. They don't chase data.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Great point.
And so, people always go like, why is everything so expensive in California? I'm like, because demand. Nobody wants to live in North Dakota. That's why you can give this shit away for free, right?
Exactly.
So, what did you major in school?
I was ag business. I was ag.
Okay.
So you talking about overrule. I knew what I did not want to do, but I was ag business major, and I took real estate concentration at real estate development concentration, and I just used my background of different classes I took in Cal Poly, but really it wasn't the classes or the post. It was more or less of I developed my skills from networking. Being on the football team, traveling around, we played all these small schools, Montana State and Bozeman and Missoula and et cetera. That's really where I honed in my skills, was from that and networking with my teammates and having these conversations.
Got you. Yeah, it's funny because being on a sport team and that, it really does work in business.
It does. And that's why Larry and I hit it off.
He's same way.
Yeah.
Coaching for a long, long time. And those skills translate to all different facets of your life and business and friends. It's very important. It's a good solid.
You got to learn to get along with the team.
Yeah. Exactly.
Somebody's usually at leadership here, there. Usually the coach is kicking your ass, right? Which Larry does. No, but you need it, right? But there's football, there's the quarterback. Yeah. There's just all these positions. Yeah. And in business and life, there is too, right? I think it's actually simpler than we just make it to be.
If you just use common sense and follow that focus and accountability. And like when we met Larry, we sold our property to Larry. How often do you see a buyer sell to a seller sell to a buyer? And then we wait, we live in similar neighborhoods? Wait. We like sports. Wait, we have same investment philosophies. And then now it's now Larry's one of the parties in our company that's part of the capital formation to help us scale this out. And so that's the uniqueness of why we're working together, is those alignments.
So you were in multifamily, which I think had a great run. Mm-hmm. Obviously now it's having challenges.
It is.
Whether you're building, whether you own. Look, if you're locked in on a nice Fannie Mae 10-year IO debt, you're probably just chilling and hope to God in 10 years the rate's not going to be where it is now. But a lot of people are struggling. Did you think when you're doing the multifamily, you just stay in that and this is what I'm going to do, and then I'm never going to be over here? Like this is the asset class. This is what I'm going to do forever. Or?
Well, this is going back almost 10 years. I saw a trend happening, and I saw that people were just pushing money. They weren't really operating. And so I said, let me figure out, my whole goal was to say, I'm going to out operate people in this industry because people are not focused on the fundamentals. But then when I saw the manufacturer housing space helping Jeremiah, then I realized like this is even worse. And so if I could buy assets from people who are very, very poor or non-sophisticated operators, and we could develop and implement our systems that we're developing, we could dominate. And I was looking for not just to be a number among many great multifamily groups. I wanted to dominate a space and build a name and a legacy. And that's why I jumped in there full steam, because I saw a way to dominate.
And then what do you, so you've run both, you've run both, you bought both, you've seen the numbers. What's the really difference? Like why do you think people shy away from where you went, right? And they're like, I'd rather just do multifamily. That just doesn't seem to work. Or I know somebody else that does that, but that's not for me. Like, where's the real big difference?
Well, if you're a residential flipper, naturally multifamily makes sense because it's flipping units, right? You're turning units. If you're renting out houses and buying single family homes, then naturally multifamily makes sense. And then, you're using third party management. And so therefore you're hands off, which I've never been a fan of third party management. And so what we did was we realized we are hands on. We typically fired our third party managers. We realized that the barrier of entry is higher, right? The majority of the industry is owned by, the top 10 companies. 6 out of the top 10 are in the suburbs of Detroit. This is like the average age of the top operators are probably 70, 80 years old. So we realized there's going to be a change of guard over time, a large shift of a product, not a lot of operators. And we knew that if you dominate the infrastructure part of the special teams of it, then you'll win. And so we just saw that uniqueness of saying the barrier is hard to get into. You have to you have to build a management company and truly operate your property. Most people did not. So I knew I could dominate in that space of the margins that we look at, utility bill disputes and everything that we do. And then I said, then I could control my culture. In third party management, I can't control my culture, but direct management, I can. So I just saw the light turned on, like, wait a minute, we could really dominate this opportunity if we build the infrastructure. Now the key was, first, I got to learn what runners are. I got to learn what skirting is and how you do it. And so it took a while to learn the ins and outs and develop our own systems and process behind it to where we could scale. Even our home design, we don't buy the base homes. We have someone that specifies and buy each home, and we have the elevate plans. There's windows, there's a farmhouse sinks, there's goosenecks faucets. That is very specified. You look at our photos of our homes, you don't think this is a manufactured home. So we do things our way. And we realized there's a way to do it our way, and we're going to scale at it. And that's where we saw the opportunity to dominate that space. And say, once we build a base, then we can go raise institution capital. We can really scale and really go after, go from 100 to $1 billion or $2 or $3 billion. But it just took us to figure out the ins and outs of how to build the right mechanics in place and scale with it. And I'm big on special teams. In college, I played a lot of special teams. My closest coach, he's a special teams coach for the Detroit Lions. Okay. And we talk strategy all the time. And we know that special teams really drive the great teams. Has great special teams. Sure. So we realize if we dominate special teams in the space manufacturer, we can win. And we're not just pushing, we're not just pushing Wall Street money or private equity money or all this funding out there. It's actually, you got to be a real operator in the space.
Yeah, I agree. We always say, because we managed 1,500 units, we sold the business. So we know the pain. Yeah. But, a big owner will always say, even real estate, it's like managing your debt and managing your properties. Those are the two big games. Everybody thinks it's about it. It's really because you can buy a good deal, you can still run into the ground.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
And so
true.
That's really, it's like manage your debt, manage the real estate. Yeah. And that's what it is. I mean, even Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, he doesn't run his stuff. It's Ken McElroy. Yeah. Ken McElroy made him wealthy, but he would say it, if you can't manage and it's like all about the management, right? Because that will kill you, break you. Yeah. I do agree. 100% with you. If you do in-house management, I have a client that owns as well, and they do management house. I just think you're going to run your portfolio much better. Yeah. Even typically owners here, people don't know when we have owners here that are big. They got to a place where they're like, I just don't want to do it anymore. they're like getting to the age where like, I'm over it and
Yeah.
they passed it. And there were some big owners that just did this recently, I know. And I asked them about it and they just said, we knew that we're probably going to lose 10, 15%
Yeah.
from us managing it. They're okay with that.
At that point, if you have low debt and
They're wealthy, they're fine.
Yeah.
It's more like, enjoy my life. I'm done. I've done enough. Like, come on, you know,
their happiness is worth 10 to 15%.
Yeah. But people don't realize that's what you can make up.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
when you're bringing in, these guys own their own stuff. There's no bringing in capital.
Yeah.
When you're trying to, return capital, 10, 15% is
big,
in your world, huge.
We essentially have a heat map on our property. We know if the electric bill goes up 5%, it's now we're implementing AI to track all this now over time. We're slowly integrating it
Through your software?
Through our software, but initially it was just manual, VAs and team, but we're tracking 5% variance of 3%. It lights up. We go over we had AP call today and I'm listening in. I'm on those calls listening in and seeing it gauge. So we know every single thing going. Every vendor knows we're looking and we're fact checking, verifying, do the right insurance, compliance, etc. We built a monster out of this. And now it's like, all right, infrastructure operation wise, we're there, accounting, operations, acquisitions. And it's like, all right, let's now we could turn on the faucet and raise a lot of capital and scale this thing out because now we got some
foundation
with a great foundation here.
Yeah. What software are you using, or what you say?
We use Appfolio.
Oh, you do?
That's the management software.
Okay.
And then we built our own stuff around it to support it.
Because they're very friendly with Open API.
We use. Yeah.
They're up in Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
a lot of owners that are big are stuck in a Yardi or Real Page.
Yeah.
And for them to bring the book, it's you can imagine
Painful.
It's not even worth it at this point in time.
Or the rent manager you hear about,
which
is like a dinosaur. Hopefully you don't kick my butt, but it's like a dinosaur because like I want to walk out of this meeting and look at delinquency and then text my national manager and say, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Rent manager, you got to go log into a server. So we just like
we use that in the beginning. It's painful. I tell people if you have if your mom, pa, you could do rent manager, but Appfolio, just spend extra money. It's just, and plus I think the Real Page and the Yardi, Yardi is such an old dinosaur. But it's like they weren't even really great with the open APIs. So that really was like hard to customize things and do what you do.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. API, that's one thing I didn't think about where you can just go in and you're just like, if there's a variance, like give me a report, what's going on.
Boom, and hit it. And that's allowing us to really see things before it happens, especially in our space. It's water and sewer bills. Then you have your trash contracts, which they'll.
Have you seen your utilities go up?
They have.
In the last 2-3 years.
2-3, and we're
what, 20%, 10%?
Man, sometimes more than that. And so we're it's even to the point we may even go to litigation in some cases. Like we battle back on utilities.
That's
like
insane.
We spend our operational time probably 15% on water and sewer bills. Like we really that's the uncontrollable cost that should be controllable. And so in this space, crazy to say that's the most uncontrollable cost. Everything else is pretty.
You can't control it.
You can't control it. You can't control. Let's say have like fixed rates and et cetera. But we're constantly going and say, hey, how do you get ahead of this? How do you test it? Are we going to make sure like we're backflows there? We're going to do shut off valves. Are we going to we're heat map? What things can we put in the lease to make sure residents are accountable? If they have a leaking sink, if they let it go too long, is there accountability? We're constantly looking at accountability. That's why you have to develop your residents and build the community so they can actually. You can send an email and say, hey, we're offering $100 gift card if you report a leak. You get the calls. Okay, why don't you tell us naturally? So how can we get the resident to naturally tell us versus handing out gift cards to see if they have a leak in their property and their unit? And so we're saying, how do you change it to be proactive than reactive? And how do you make sure they understand that we're in this together?
Have you seen those devices you put on?
Yeah.
I know, it's just how do you install it all, right? Like
the accuracy of it. When I have grandma who's 70 years old, single, then I have, Bobby Favors with 5 kids in there and himself and his wife having a $20 bill and grandma has a $70 bill. The accuracy of it. And those companies are like, well,
that's a heating blanket. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the company's like, well, she's using more water. Like grandma ain't using that much water unless she's drinking wine in the bathtub every night.
The neighbor's laundry, the whole,
exactly. Yeah. She's using washer and dryer.
Laundry.
Yeah. So it's like, she's not taking bath 4 times a day. Like it doesn't make, like there's 5 kids, 7 people in his house, right? It doesn't make sense. So that's until we find a software that actually, we're looking for that software, but we haven't found it yet. So we just do a flat rate billing.
Yeah.
It's all about fairness, right? Yeah. Because I was that kid. I wouldn't want my mom paying $70 there's 3 of us, and then someone with 14 people in their house or whatever it is paying less than us. Like, so I have to think everything we do, we think about that concept.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Where are you from originally?
Originally from Fresno, California.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you've been to California.
Yeah, we made it out, man.
And what brought you down here?
So we had a migration.
We're in San Diego, by the way.
San
guys.
Diego. Well, first the weather. If you look outside right now, but we had a group of friends from Cal Poly.
Okay.
We all graduated within a year or two each other, and we all moved down here from Antonio, from Comunidad. A few other friends. We all moved to San Diego, and it was the weather. It was the largest city that had similar weather to San Luis Obispo. That was the simple way of looking at it. And,
so did you buy property in California?
We did. Not a lot, but we did. But we're not, just economics don't make sense.
Is that crazy?
Without subsidy, it's hard to make sense.
Yeah, we just had a rent control event here in San Diego. It's called the Rent Control Laws.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of owners. We actually had Kevin Faulkner came out and spoke.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, a couple of things.
Yeah.
And so some big apartment owners were on our committee. But it's not like we're pushing back, but we kind of mentioned the event. We just said, Faulkner said, how many people here know somebody that moved out of California? And these are all brokers, apartment owners. Everybody raised their hand. And then I was like, how many people here have clients that are talking about selling and moving out? A lot of people raise their hand.
Exactly.
And so, it's affordability is tough.
Yeah.
Insurance is getting tough, all that. But then, these regulations are brutal. So we're trying to fight and push back. It's not we're against tenants or anything. We're just kind of like, we can run our buildings. We don't need you to run them for us.
Exactly.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what you're buying.
Okay.
Typically, are you buying land? Are you adding units? Are you buying some where it's done and then there's more opportunity? Are you coming in buying, hey, these are dilapidated, we got to fix them up. Are they vacant? Give us the lay of the land, like what you're buying.
I'll give you a buy box.
Yeah.
So first, price range, $5 to $50 million.
Okay.
5 million, some properties in the Midwest, right? 50 million. The second buy box is the quality of the asset. So we're looking for B to B plus to A class properties.
And when you say B, can you explain like what a B is to you so we just know?
Yeah, a B is they have paved roads, landscaping. Let's start there.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Paved roads.
They have water, electricity.
Public utilities in most cases. You have, it looks like a community. Like it doesn't look like a scattered site. You drive in,
nice.
This is a community.
Yeah,
like when you go to a Santee, you see a gated.
Yeah.
That's it's a B product. And so that's what we look for. We don't buy these like middle of nowhere trailers and falling apart and like you scared. If the way I look at it is our end product is that B to A plus. A plus is just top notch like class A apartments, right? If my 5-year-old, 8-year-old daughter can't walk through by themselves without me being there, then we have a problem. Now we'll buy communities that are not there yet, but you
want to know you can get there.
That's if you ask any of our residents that actually met me, because majority see me walking around. If my daughters, everyone knows, even our managers, if my daughters can't walk around safe, you got to go. That's our fair housing. Like as simple as that. Like we want to make sure it's safe for our residents. And if I can't think of my kids walking around, then who am I to say your kids, right? It's safe.
So you might be buying a property that's, we call them bad actors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a nice term.
Wild cards. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're like community's nice, but this has just been mismanaged and they just let this thing run amok. Basically, you're like, we can turn this thing around.
And before we close, we'll say, okay, lot 4, lot X, I'll be careful on lots because we're closing on one, right? This lot, already marked. We already know the issue, right? And we go into it, day one, and give them the notice, you got to go. Like we just, the way you operate is not healthy for our community.
Yeah.
And it's not the business we run. So that's our model regarding that. Our other criteria is we like to buy properties that are about 85% plus occupancy.
Okay.
We can make a lot of money. Our value add is operational value add, not physical value add. So we're not in the business to go fill a bunch of vacant lots. The infrastructure and time it takes to fill a lot of lots will kill your team. So we're more of an operational value add company. Your
model. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to build a whole subdivision. Now we are looking at building ground up developments in the space. We're not quite there yet, capacity and construction
like
yet.
Putting modular manufacture those, just bring them in, plop them. They're amazing.
Piece of land, like there's a piece of land in Austin we're going to joint venture on. We could have built 250 lots in a suburb of Austin. brand new community,
and just drop the new house. You're gonna drop manufactured
homes there. Yeah. Just but the design.
They're insane.
Yeah, like Trex decks, and it'll be outdoor, indoor living. It'll be a true. You'll have your bocce balls and all that sort of stuff. So that's the way we're gonna be going. We'll scale that part of the business later. But our core is just workforce housing. Okay. We look for core markets. So if it's Columbus, Ohio, we're within a driving distance of working downtown, so people can actually commute and work. Cleveland, we're in the wealthier. We target the wealthier suburbs, and we also target resort areas. So we're in Sun Valley, Ketchum area.
Orlando.
We're not in Orlando.
I was just telling you because I think like, oh, it's Disneyland.
Yeah, but we like those resort type of towns, especially in the Northwest.
Okay.
So the resort areas, like there's some resort towns that we like, and we'll continue to buy in these resort areas. We love resort towns, and for us, the supply and demand is like, all right, is there any affordable housing there? Who are my competitors? Can we dominate? Can we know can we scale in that market? And so once we get into a market, we try to scale, and then from there we just look for, it's really just for, can we create a community out of this space? That's the biggest thing we look at is can we create a community? Can we have something that's safe? And is it over 100 lots? We like
where residents are happy to be here. They're happy to live here. They're happy to call this home and bring people over and proud.
Yeah, or the future residents will be happy to be there, right?
Yeah.
And then also we want to be. It has to be 100 lots or more.
Okay.
Resort towns, those are harder to find, but we prefer 100. Our current acquisition is 380. The next one is 226. So the size of the scale is better because we run these things without maintenance. So we don't, out of our whole portfolio, we don't have one maintenance staff. That's the difference between multifamily manufacturing.
Wow.
We don't have maintenance. We work with vendors, right? We outsource the vendors because our residents are responsible for their homes.
The resident calls the vendor. You have an approved vendor list.
Yeah, we have an approved vendor list. And we do our own, like, we're responsible for the maintenance. So we'll call a plumber out to fix if there's a plumbing line break that's under the ground before it gets to their home. And then once it goes into their home, that's their responsibility. So we're not dealing with my refrigerator's broken.
It's like a condo.
Yeah,
right?
it's like a condo. Yeah, yeah. It's like an HOA. It's
HOA. That's basically
okay. Yeah. So that's why I like this model.
So most people use your vendors. They can use whoever.
They use their own, but we make sure the vendors are registered with us, so I don't have
problem.
Papa Joe messing up my infrastructure.
Yeah.
And this happened.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. We always say Larry the Cable Guy, fix your plumbing.
Yeah, we got a famous guy named Bob Godick, and he's like messed with all our resident yards, and then we have a sewer issue at the property. And we're like, all right, Bob Godick, banned from the property. So we have those scenarios.
So obviously you're raising money. People expect returns.
Yeah.
I don't know what you can talk here, returns, whatever.
Talk
okay,
cool.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's hard these days with returns because sometimes I'm kind of like, I think people, they're not against returns, but it's like, I think people are just buying value add or buying, if you're buying an office building in San Francisco, you're probably not worried about the return for 10 years now.
Yeah.
So obviously you guys have found a space where in today's market with today's environment, today's rates, today's capital you can get and putting money down, you're finding I can get a return on investment.
Yes. And the reason, and very selectively. And a lot of it is because the operational play is happening during due diligence. To give an example, we pay an 8% pref return on our money. Unless it's a Class A property, we pay 6.
Okay.
But our core market is 8% pref. Then we return capital, right? That's the waterfall. And then after return capital is 70-30, 70 investors, 30 us. And then occasionally 40-60. That's our cookie cutter structure of a waterfall, and all of our deals we're paying our pref. So we pay pref out monthly. So let's say we close, June 10th. We may defer to August to start paying, and then every single month, like
people are getting that check.
Yeah, and it's just ACH wire to their account on the 10th of the month, and the 10th is a big day for us, right? We collect rents. We pay all the mortgages, all the expenses, and then the 10th, they get their distributions, and it's just auto pay.
And when you guys close, you're typically doing long-term Fannie debt. Are you doing bridge or anything? Or?
Very rarely do. If it's like we have a deal we're buying in Farmington Hills, Michigan, high value, high return deal where we're probably returning capital in 18 months. Then we're getting a fixed bridge. My days of variable rate bridges are over.
Yeah.
Right. I've been through that.
Yeah.
But the super majority is agency, Fannie and Freddie.
Okay.
I'm part of Freddie's diversity impact team.
Yeah, you told me that. It's cool. Can you talk about that? That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's one of 12 individuals in the United States that's part of this team. I happen to be the only one in manufactured housing. So he's the guy raising my hand like, hey guys, what about manufactured housing? But we sit down and talk. We meet twice a year. We talk up through policy.
And you said you're with Fannie Mae?
This is Freddie.
Okay, Freddie.
This is Freddie.
Okay.
And then Fannie, we have a great relationship with Fannie too. But we talk about, like waivers and, net worth requirements and for emerging sponsors. It doesn't have to be minorities, just emerging sponsors. We talk about waivers for, because as you scale, right, we go buy a $30 million deal. You can't qualify to buy a $50 million deal if you're scaling up. So then it's like, okay, well, I may not have the 10% today. Well, if I have 5%, can you work? We're designing that to say, hey, if someone's scaling and showing that they can do all the reporting, they're operating good, they're
an exception
their
here.
character. These are the exceptions we'll have in place to help you scale. But also, here's our group of wealth. Here's our group of lenders that we have, and here's our group of capital market resources that you have. So therefore, as you scale, you can go talk to a Nuveen or PGM or PGIM or Prudential. You can talk to these different groups, and we'll make sure they come to certain events here and meet you guys, so you guys could talk and mingle. So you don't have to go to other conferences to meet them; they're here for you guys. And then we network with each other. So, it's full access from Kevin Palmer, the head of multifamily, the whole risk management, from the locking desk. They all come in and speak one-on-one with us, and we spend time. So the whole team, inside and out, you understand. So we go to our lenders and say, hey, I know this is your pricing, and we get favorable pricing too, but here's our package for what we're doing, and this gives our advantage. We tell them our criteria. So the lenders, we have a direct contact, so we're not just sitting back and waiting for this bank to tell us. We're like, hey, this is our terms for our deals.
Gotcha.
So therefore, we're not waiting and going through waiting for third party company. We kind of know the terms going into it, which lets us have a better, like, we know our certainty of execution. So I go to seller and say, look, I'm not just going to my lender. I've already talked to agency on this. I'm confident in what we could do. I spend twice a year. I spend time at their corporate headquarters. I know my ability to close this deal, take my offer. And they know we're going to close.
No, when you have that certainty, it's huge, especially in the world you're playing in, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I know what's coming down the pipe. Like we're talking to Freddie about creating a social impact product that doesn't exist for manufactured housing that helps us track what we're doing. Like we have a mission called Path to Homeownership. That's why Larry and I, we talk about this all the time, is the biggest way to create wealth for the masses is single family ownership. So we help our residents have a path to home ownership, and we have a step-by-step process. First, being a good neighbor, right? Like, that if your neighbors are parking inside of the middle of your lawn, you don't want to be in that neighborhood. So first, you got to be a good neighbor. Number two, when they pay their rent, it reports on their credit. It's positive reporting.
Oh, you guys are doing that?
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah, with the Susu.
Cool.
And we try to work with two companies. You can't do that. We try to get double reporting. We were trying to turbocharge it. And I was like, you can't do that. We were working with Circle.
Smart man.
Yeah. I was like, because if it happens faster, then it turns our rent roll, right?
Yeah.
And then we know that their biggest down payment is their home, right? Like they're a better candidate than people bringing these condos over here, right? Because our apartments, their down payments when they sell their home, they're $40,000-$50,000. That's their down payment. Savings. So we realize there's a path to home ownership, and then we educate them on buying homes. So therefore, we creating in each community 100 200 people that are potential buyers. So we go to local realtors, we're talking to Scott Evans about doing classes and saying, hey, we do a class. Can we help our residents learn about home buyer ownership, go qualify, work with a local realtor, and go buy a house? And maybe Scott does a loan or something like that. So that's the vision that we're creating to say nationwide, can we have thousands of people that are 10% are buying homes every year because of our mission, what we believe in.
Smart. Love it.
And we get our loss to lease recapture. So I don't have to have aggressive rent growth, right? I could keep my 3 to 4% rent growth because my turnover is where I'm capturing my loss to lease because I have more people leaving to go buy houses.
Yeah, that's smart.
We've been working on this for the past few months.
We always want to bring as much value as we possibly can, and our partner, Prime Corporate Services, is all about bringing you a service you can't get anywhere else at a price you can't get anywhere else. Whether you're new to owning a business or owning a property, or you're an experienced property owner or investor, Prime Corporate Services is not only going to help you, but they're going to make the process so much easier. So if you book a call, the first thing they're going to do for you is help you understand what your business structure should look like, your corporate structure, tax planning, estate planning, all of that. Maybe you're saying, I'm brand new to starting a business and all this sounds foreign and complicated. Remember, this company helps new people just getting started every day. They're going to help you form the entity that's best for you and walk you through the process. Before I found this company, we paid thousands of dollars to other attorneys, CPAs, and consultants to try to understand exactly how we need to be structured to be as protected as possible. We've also gone the other route and used online platforms to form entities which unnecessarily put us at risk. You guys, you don't have to do that with this company. They'll do all of these things for you at a reasonable price so you you never have to think about saving money at the expense of exposing yourself to liability. We've searched high and low, and you will not find this much value anywhere else. All you have to do is schedule a free call today. Just go to primecorporateservices.info/GITCG. Once again, that's primecorporateservices.info/GITCG. We'll also leave the info for you in the show notes.
So I was at a Housing Wire event, and I can't think of her last name, but the lady that's head of Fannie Mae, Sandra, you might know who she is.
I know you're talking about. I don't know. Yeah.
She came in and she didn't hang long. She had to come in, and I know she had to go. Housing Wire, if you know who they are.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Okay, cool. So I was there just doing some media stuff with them.
That's dope.
And she obviously said the biggest challenge they have is affordability. And the second thing is there's not enough housing.
Yeah.
And I know, she said it, nicely, professionally, but she's getting bitched at left and right saying like everybody else, why are we getting houses? Like she knows I need to get people in houses.
Yeah.
And so a couple of things she made that you'll find interesting. She said, number one, she, 3 years ago, they weren't doing ADU financing. So if you had a house, ADU is technically a no-no. Sometimes you can get around it here. And obviously she realized she opened up. So Fannie does, a single family plus an ADU will do it. Freddie Mac will do the same, or 2-unit plus 1 will do it. They still need to relax the rules. Say if you have a 2-unit out of 2, just do the damn loan. But basically, but they're, just do it. That's why I wanted to tell her, but she left. I was like, dude, what's the difference? A chicken is a chicken, just like.
We gotta get you an emerging sponsor. You go to car, go walk in your door.
Exactly. And so the next thing she talked about is, which is manufactured and modular. And she goes, everybody has this concept in their mind of what a manufactured modular home is, or whatever. There's difference. We could talk about if there is difference. But she said she got invited to this factory where they're making them, and she says, if somebody would have just had me walk into this house, blindfold me, and open it up, say, "Do you love this house?" She'd be like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And then I walked outside, said, "This is a manufactured home." I'd never know it.
Yeah.
They don't really lend on manufactured homes.
Yeah.
And so, but that's one thing where you can get housing.
Yes.
At affordability.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
So she started saying is, okay, I'm sold. I get it. That's something they're working on because she's getting this pressure, right? Yeah. So that's why it was interesting when you said that. It's Fannie Mae at the top, even at the lending level we're at, is getting pressure to do that. Like here in California, I don't know if you know, they passed the law. It's in Washington that if you have a house and you build 14 ADUs, we haven't adopted it. You will be able to separate those and sell those individually.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
They're doing it in Washington. So I called when I knew this is coming. Yeah. The law passed. Nobody's adopted it because you're just trying to wrap your head around it. You can imagine. Okay, it's like doing condo conversions, basically, right? Yeah. And so I called a lender who called somebody in Washington and said, "Well, Fannie Mae lend on these." I said, "Yeah, we've been doing it in Washington, Seattle, up there. They do this now."
Wow, they're ahead of the curve. Wow.
So that's what you're saying is the reason why I brought this up is we're all having to. You're figuring out solutions how to get housing or educate people, but it's affordable. We got to start thinking outside the box, here, right? Yeah. You can't just go down the same path. And even home builders, for them to build, it's getting challenging to make money and things like that. Yeah, I mean, you build a home, and people don't realize they're kind of, especially here, you kind of get a box and the shit they put inside is not great. It's like falling apart in 5 years because that's what you get. They can't.
You're paying.
There's
for
no money.
Yeah. They're tapped out. Yeah. The supply costs, the whole chain's off. And it was interesting. What you're saying is you're solving, and what you're pushing for, advocating for, is the tier of single family or fee simple home ownership. You're saying, how do we create this more affordable? And I think we're in a collision course because we're saying, how do we can't have people go move in manufactured house data forever. We need to help them cycle out before the next person can come in and get in. So we're trying to create the flywheel. Then it transitions over to, well, then their next home may be one of these ADUs. Yeah. And then it just steps from there, right? And we create that stepping stone, and we all figure out how to build more cost effective by doing modular ADUs or et cetera. Then we could create this and I guess Fannie and Freddie keep saying they have a duty to serve.
They do.
And they're leaning on people like us to figure out how do they serve better versus people who get an agency loan and jack rents and then go celebrate on TV, right? Like it's a different model. Like we got to figure out how do we solve. We all have our role, right? We have our role. You have your role. You have your role. Your role is raise a lot of money, but you have our role.
That's why we're all talking here.
And then we keep going from there. And I think it would all come together over time. That's the beautiful part about it.
So speaking of raising money, how does it work with you guys? So typically you're raising money. Are you taking the money in a fund and then you find it? Or are you basically are syndicating each deal, find the deal, raise the money, close?
Yeah. So we syndicate deals.
Okay.
So we typically, if we know we're 30 days from closing, we had a strong group of investors. We'll just send out our marketing and raise. As we're doing larger deals, the raise is bigger. Then we're saying, okay, now we're starting 60 days early, which is you're lining up money, but you're still in due diligence, and then you kind of time it all up. Eventually, we'll probably do a single purpose entity. We have a investor mentor named Bruce, and we've been discussing of rolling into a single purpose entity. But right now, just single syndications, and it's working for us. But long term, the scale that we're going and where we're building to, we're probably to roll into a single purpose entity and just scale it out.
Is that almost like a fund then?
Yeah, I mean, he's took his company from $100 million to $3 billion doing this model, and he's like, hey, Demetre, start looking at this early because at the pace you're going, you want to wrap this all into one and just create this machine that everyone wins, because your sellers are coming to us and saying, hey, we like what you guys are doing. I'd rather sell to you guys, even for not a huge lower price, but a lower price, because I like your mission. I know you'll take care of my residents, because most of these mom and pops, they live on site, they're by. So we realized.
Yeah, they don't want to leave and have people calling, well, what'd you do to us?
Yeah. Because they still live in that town in most cases, most times. So they don't want that embarrassment. So I think as our model, as we're scaling, we realize we're be a magnet for deals and also a magnet for money. Like if you could invest and say, hey, I still get the same returns as these other groups, or even higher in some cases. Yeah. But also I know that I have a safer asset, because they're not just turning and burning, they're really investing in the infrastructure. And then 3, I know I'm doing a good deed. I'm making money, but also knowing I'm impacting someone's life. And that's the target investor we're looking for, is someone who says, hey, I believe in the responsibility of being socially responsible. I believe in their strategy of solving it and being a part of the change, but also I know I'm getting my return too. And if I could get all those together, I get my 16, 17, 18 IRR. We always say, 14 to 15 or 19 to 20, but we know there's more. And that goes back to the criteria that we talked about. The last criteria that we do is we always have access land. And because my background also is commercial real estate, like retail, industrial, so we're known multiple projects. We're carving off parcels of land. One, we're carving off a 2-acre parcel frontage. We're going to lose 7 homes, gain 7 different locations in the community. Then we're going to have a 2-acre, 2 QSRs there, and that's a zero land basis play on a busy road. It's like having Rosecrans having 2-acre parcel frontage, and then your community's behind it. And so we're carving these parcels off. Columbus, we have 6.7 acres. We're going to activate. Willoughby, we have another 1.5 acres. Farmington Hills will have 6 acres. So we're land banking play, and that's not in our model in return. So when you say I'm going to get at my 19, 18 IRR, whatever the number is, we're not factoring that land play at a zero basis that we're going to activate. So pretty cool stuff. That's the stuff I'm really excited about, because I have that background, right? So we're talking to, not Starbucks, but TR Hortons. And we're also talking to Tim Hortons, and we're also talking to Chipotle at the site. And you look at the valuation, those two is like $4.5 million, $5 million.
Wow.
At a zero land basis, we do a ground lease. So that's kind of stuff that we're drumming up, and we're saying to investors, like, look, this is a plan. We're not going to rush it, but we're going to assemble some parcels around it, maybe do something bigger. But that's just a gravy on top of what we do.
Is there just tons of opportunity with these properties out there right now?
No. No. As far as there's a lot of product out there,
but it's not the
it's
right
not
price.
good product.
Okay.
It's
why what makes it not good?
It's rural. It's like
again, you're gonna have challenges.
Yeah. It's like, do you really want to be in way out in the middle of nowhere, right? I get calls all the time, like, there's tons of property out here and here. We talked about it before we walked in here.
Arizona. Right?
Yeah, Arizona, right? Yuma area. I'm like, well, yeah, but I want to make sure that my guy could drive, and when he says I can't pay rent, I want to look up online or take photos. When I take photos when I drive around, and say, hey, I tell my managers, hey, you have not just Chipotle hiring, but you got this warehouse, you have Progressive Insurance, you have Chipotle headquarters, you have, and all these white collar jobs.
A lot of job options, yeah.
You have so many job options. You can go work 1 week and pay your rent. Like, I think we're the only asset class without subsidy. You could go work 1 week somewhere and pay your rent.
Wow.
So if someone can't pay rent, I'm like, hey, go work for a week. Right? Go work. And if you don't want to work, either you have a health issue or it's time to go, right? But you could go, and the best part is if we have to go through an eviction, unfortunately, our residents walking with $10, $15, $20, $30, $40,000 because they can sell their home.
Sure.
So when we have when someone gets evicted, I'm like, look, you can go work for 1 week and pay your rent, or you can sell your home, pay your back rent, and actually profit. You can't do that in multifamily. You can't do that in house rentals. You can't do it renting a condo, a townhome. You can't do it renting a boat, right? You can't do it anywhere. So you can actually sell your home and profit if you're about to get evicted for non-payment or you're facing that struggle. And that's a reset and go start over, right? And so that's why I believe in asset classes. I realized like, man, multifamily, the bad debt is crazy, especially when COVID, right? We recouped 90% of our rent during COVID because they sold their homes or something happened, but most people got crushed.
Oh yeah.
There's people that probably still haven't paid.
Oh, for sure. Especially in LA.
Yeah. I was gonna say LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your, what's probably your average across your rents, your portfolio? Like what people, I guess it's what do you have a land lease with everybody? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a lot rent. The average is roughly about $550 across the board. We're truly 1 week of work.
And what is a probably typical home if, let's go through it. If it's a brand new home to, 10-year-old, whatever, what is somebody paying to put a home on that lot? Yeah.
So if it's so let's start with a brand new home. A brand new home, we pay roughly about $45,000.
And how big is that house?
It's 920 square feet on average.
2 bed?
2 bedroom, 2 bath.
Okay.
We do 3 bedroom, 2 baths, about 1,100 square feet. So we would take, let's say a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, we'll pay about $60,000 for a home. We'll place that home on a lot. It's cost another $25,000 in cost or so. So let's say we're into it for $90,000 per se. That home would sell for roughly, most cases, not $90,000+.
Okay.
And that person has a home. A lot of times it's cash. People downsizing. When it's financing, there's third-party financing out there, and we'll say that for a different podcast how that road is. But there's third-party financing, and then usually, let's say the lot rent's $550 on average. If they're not buying their home cash, they're putting down 10%. So they say put down $9,000. They're financing the rest. They might have another $500 payment, so they might be in for $1,000 and then that's their total rent. But they got a brand new home that's energy efficient. The lower side of it is they come in and they buy a home for as low as $8,000 cash.
Wow.
That's older, but it still has good bones and it's been taken care of. They move right in and they're paying their $500 rent. And then we usually say, hey, we're buying this home. We need you to do X, Y, Z. Need you to paint it, or we do that transfer of ownership. There's usually some improvement that we require to make sure that we sustain the community. Okay. We get involved. We intercept the sale and say, look, we got to qualify them anyway. We're going to make sure that this is not just like a home that's older and then someone, Bobby Favors moving there and the home gets torn down in 2 years.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that we say, okay, great. What are you going to do to invest into this home? Make sure it's sustainable.
And what are you doing typically when you come buy a community and let's say there's value add or what are you going to do to bring value to the community? Yeah.
I mean, the first thing we do is, and people who love trees, bear with me. We cut a lot of trees out of at least older. We're in California. You see palm trees everywhere, right? But we see these older trees that just the curve appeal is not there. Yeah. So we come in and clean house on trees. That's the first thing we do. Then from there, we start pushing yards and say, hey, we need you to clean yards up.
I was gonna say,
And the best way we explain it is like, hey, do you know Steve Harvey? Like, yeah, like you see his haircut's really clean. That's what your yard need to look like. Right. And they started laughing.
I want to write that one down.
That's pretty good.
That could be a hook.
Yeah. They started laughing, but it's like, hey, Steve Harvey's the first thing that came to mind one time. And I was like, Steve Harvey's haircut. And the guy was like, who? And I showed him a photo and it's been like an inside joke. But we make sure they clean their yards up. And then we push to say, hey, improve your home, the curve appeal, painting it, your skirting. That's really the three basics.
It's you just showing up, talking to them, like give a shit. Like basically, come on. Like,
well, yeah, because our managers know, and I show by example. So when we first buy a property, now we have regionals and national managers, so I don't have to do as much. But when I'm in town, I'm walking to properties, I'm knocking on doors. Hey man, what's up with your skirting? And they see me my managers see me just pivot, right? Go right to the door. Even with the lender, like, hey guy, hold on 1 second. And we're in acquisitions. I'm like, hey man, fix your skirting. Like, you don't own it yet. Well, I'm about to own the spot. So you might as well get it down, right? So I like to show my team, be hands-on, communicate in a polite way, respectful way, but clean it up, because I know that if your home was selling for $20,000 and everyone cleans their home up and you sell for $40,000, I made all you guys money. Not I, but we made money.
You realize if you just do these things, you're gonna double. Yeah.
And we offer, when we sell or finance, we offer like 3% rates, so therefore we get a higher value. So therefore we're creating, because the only comp is our comp in our community. There's not like Zillow comps for us.
Yeah,
right? Our comp is
your community. You make your
our comps. Madison Estates comps, right? Homes at Madison are selling for $20,000 4 years ago, are selling for $45,000, $50,000 now, and we've had residents cash out, right? They've cashed out and bought houses, and for me, that's a good thing because we created wealth in our community. They cashed out, and the next person came in. This guy's house is like 90% accurate. We do these last 10%. So we get a little push out of the person buying it. And so we continue to, chip at it. And eventually you crack the whole community. And before you know it, you have a culture, everyone's fixing their homes up. And all of a sudden your B- property became a B plus A minus. And now you have something. And then it's just, it's rocket fuel. You talk about traction and EOS, rocket fuel. And that's what we see is from there, then it's desirable. And then people start calling us, right? We had a competitor call us, say, hey, or not competitor, but a resident in a far superior property call us and move their home to our property because they like our manager and they like the path that our property is going. And that's a compliment. When you have people from nicer Class A communities moving to your community, you've done a good job. And then from there, it's over, right? Because then your values go up, your prices, brand new homes. Now you're profiting on brand new homes. Initially, you're losing money on brand new homes in a rougher community. So you recapture all that money. And it's just there's such an ecosystem in a space that I go in my friends and family or investors, I keep it very like high level. But when you go into it, they spend a day with us like, damn, this is what you guys do is so unique. So like your secret sauce, your team, how you guys flowing, it blows their mind. Like no one else is doing this. Like, and we I don't know better. I don't know what everyone else is doing. I talk to them, but we're so dialed in what we do. We ignore everyone else.
How long does it take if you go in a community it's kind of rougher to probably get it turned around?
About 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 years. 3 years. Use the biggest change in the first year. Like usually it's like, the course.
Is it really that hard to get people to start going paint, do this? Is it a lot of bugging?
It's usually that 5%, right? And some of them are clever, right? Some of these residents are the ones that are tough are clever. And then so we just got to and we have to make sure like we can't have court days postponed a month. Like we got to just go, at first we were hesitant trying to talk, but the bad apples, we just cut to the chase now. And then we got to clean house because the faster I get rid of those 5% of headaches, the rest of the community flourish. And so I realized I just got to cut to the chase. I don't want their money. I don't want their rent. I just want to clean it up and move on because I'm thinking how fast can my daughters walk this community, right? That's the test. And so the faster we get there, the better for everyone. And so we're saying 3 years in a rougher community. An average community is probably about 16 months now. So we have one in Oregon that we turn pretty fast.
But you guys go, as soon as you close, you go right in and hit the curb appeal, right? What you can do. What you can control, you're like, we're on it.
I mean, they're like at the closing table, the tree company's kind of driving back and forth, right?
When's it getting over?
Because that's the biggest thing, like just overgrown, ugly trees.
Yeah, and just...
All right, so in wrapping up, guys, what's the best way for people to reach out to you to learn more about you, if they want to learn more about the deals, what you're doing, read about you, and then also if they're interested in investing, and who would they talk to?
So they can reach me, Larry Blackman, LinkedIn, or call me directly. And I'm at that age in my life, I still pick up the phone regardless of who calls. It may be waterless cookware, it may be, Subway sandwiches, but I will pick up your call. And one thing I would say also too is I'll be more apt to say what not to do than what to do. And I try to team up with Demetre on all questions, and he's very available for that. And again, and this is just me, my personal opinion, it's a very compelling story, a lot of value, and it's worth talking about 15, 20 minutes. And love to hear from you. Here to help.
Yeah, and then people can they can exchange your deals. So look, a lot of people right now are selling deals. They're getting stuck. They don't know where to go. So they can exchange your deal. And they can they fund it out of a 401k? Can you just kind of go some of the ways people are bringing in money to your fund?
Yeah, we have different layers. So we have traditional equity. Then number 2, we have the TIC or 1031 exchange. Third, we have the IRA. We accept the IRA money. And so both IRA and TIC, we need at least 30 days prior to closing of notice. Okay. And so when we become interested in investing with us, you talk to Larry or us directly, then what you'll do is you go to our site, register on our portal, investor portal, and then you'll get all the live deals, and you can subscribe to a deal, and then you can pick which way you want to invest. And part of our investor deck will lay that out. And once we know that, then we'll set you up and make sure we go through the proper process to get you set up from there.
Okay, cool. And then just edit this part out real quick. If they didn't catch it, let's just go over like the same thing. I'm just going to regurgitate what I just said. So basically, guys, if I'm investing $100,000 or $1 million, so people just don't know because they might hear 8% pref in this, can we just talk about a deal, maybe from start to an exit of how that works. So let's say somebody brings in $1 million and you guys can just do this. 8% pref would be they'd get $80,000 a year.
Yes.
And then they would get, that's divided by 12 and they'd get that amount monthly.
Correct. On the 10th.
And then also, they would also, you guys do cost segregations. If you guys don't know what that is, look it up. I don't want to talk about it here, but that basically means they're going to give you back a 1099 that's going to show a loss, which is a paper loss.
Yes.
And so that would help your money you're getting from you not really pay taxes on.
Correct.
Okay. And then let's say you exit a project, they're with you in 5 years, and you don't cash them out through a refi or something. What would that look like if you can just say a project made this? Just make up numbers.
So our historical exits in the manufactured housing space has been about 2.4 multiple.
Okay.
So simple numbers: you invest $1 million, you're getting $2.4 million back.
Okay.
Including your original capital. That's been our track record on exits. We have not been exiting deals. We've been just accumulation. So we still look at the projected 5-year exit and say, hey, we're still on pace for a 2.2, 2.4 multiple on our exits. And that's our deal type. And then from there, we are returning capitals between years 2 and 4. So we'll do a refinance supplemental, return the capital. So simple terms, you invest $1 million, anticipate between years 3 and 5, or so between years 2 and 4, you're getting your $1 million back. And then from there, you're still sharing in the profit and losses of the property in perpetuity. So therefore, you don't have the tax benefit recapture or the capital gain to worry about because you're returning your original capital. And that's
when you return that, they don't get the 8%.
They don't get the 8%,
but they get
pref, but they still get
the cash flow.
The cash flow.
Which is some things there. Obviously,
it's equivalent to it. It'll vary between 4 and it'll go up to like 12, 13% because we have no more equity in the deal.
So it's a great return. And then you could take that money if you want and do it into the next deal.
You can invest with us or someone else, right? We prefer that you invest with us, but you have that capital back. And from there, you're made whole. You made your 8% pref, your $80,000 a year, and then you're getting cash flow the rest of your life. And then you have this tax shelter benefit that you benefited from years ago. And you feel good about it. And you know you're doing a good cause and you get our updates and you know that, your investment helped people buy houses because of our model.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in, guys. Any last words? Anything else?
I'm just saying also too, Ken, you do a great job, and I'm very lucky and blessed to be working with people like that. And I'm really big on the social consciousness of this project and other projects. It makes good sense.
I know Larry for a while. He hasn't really been excited. So no, about something. No, I'm just saying, like what I'm saying, it's hard to get excited because you're going to put your name and go out there and talk about it. I think
I'm in the deals, and
I think it's a lot more these days. I think people realizing I gave money to this syndicator, that syndicator, haven't got anything back, don't get a call back. And so it's tough out there right now. I feel bad for a lot of people that raised money that thought this was going to happen or that, or maybe they did a bridge loan or a Freddie floater, and you know what I'm really talking about English. It's
or they had capital calls. Our manufactured housing, we never had a capital call, right? It's knock on wood, but we've been fortunate in that space. Part of it is because we have our eyes on operations and we look at due diligence seriously. So the key is you could be at peace knowing that there's a very low chance of capital calls, very low chance of like cash flow. You see multifamily, you hear about capital calls, you hear about people, not getting distribution for years. And here we are trucking along because we got fixed rate debt on everything. And so that's the biggest key for us is fixing the debt, even if it's higher. Our bridge deal, you said upcoming deals, we have a deal that we're buying. It's a high upside deal. It's bridge, so it's gonna be 8%, but it's fixed.
Shit, that's not bad for bridge.
It's not bad.
Is that through the agencies?
No, it's to a third party. Okay. But we bought
that's great bridge.
We bought one of our properties at 12%, and we refinanced the perm debt. We're at 3.8 right now, and so it's.
Are you doing IO or full AM?
We do IO, so we get 5 to 7 years IO. On our stuff. So which is manufactured housing.
You're doing yield maintenance prepay, or
yield maintenance.
So that's why you do the second.
Exactly. Yield maintenance or defeasance depending on Fannie or Freddie. And so it's for us, it's relationship, knowing that if it's a bridge deal we buy, we already talked to agency.
You know they're going to take it out. You already make sure, because otherwise if they aren't, then this isn't going to work for you.
I don't care if it's 6 multiple. We're not going to buy it if it can't go agency and it's not in areas that we like. We don't look at the returns and say, hey, great deal, we're going to go buy it, chase it. Like, no, it has to fit our model. Because we got to scale. We're looking at the loan picture. We want to scale this thing out. We can't go chase deals that sink our whole team's time. That doesn't make sense.
So you can see yourself just sitting in deals and cash flowing and just like you're fine. It's like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. It's just, you got to get me now because in 10 years I'm gonna be hanging out with my kids all day.
Yeah.
So because we're building this up now, so therefore, they can go to school in different countries and all that good stuff. So we're being, we're hyper focused and we want to make sure our team make a lot of money too. Everyone gets ownership in the deals and our staff. So for us, it's about making it a win-win for everybody. Everyone's vested.
Awesome.
So,
well, guys, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, man. This is an awesome podcast, man. I appreciate you. It's great to meet you.
Yeah.
I heard a lot about you. I even talked to Scott Evans. And so it's just good to like energy, the questions, the skill set, the knowledge that you have. It's amazing, man. So I appreciate you.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you're doing something really good, which is huge,
Yeah.
which is honestly, it feels good, right?
Yeah, it does. It feels great.
And so I think it's admirable. And so if you guys have questions, reach out, go look you up. Where's a website they can just look up and learn more about you?
It's www.elevatecommercial.com. You can find me on LinkedIn as D Booker Jr. Just type in my full name, Demetre Booker Jr. On all the social media channels. And then my personal number is 661-547-9567.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. This is great.
Good job.
If you're already a real estate investor, you know that aside from cash flow, you also get huge tax benefits by investing in real estate. But are you taking full advantage of all the potential tax benefits? We've been working with Tim Looney at CSSI for a few years now, and he's saved us and our clients hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in taxes doing cost segregation studies on their properties. Let me give you a few examples. We bought a property in 2019. If we had just used straight line depreciation, we would have saved about $18,750 in taxes. But because we did a cost seg, we saved $258,000. That's $239,350 more than standard straight line depreciation in the first year. The other great thing is, if you're classified as a real estate professional, you can apply this to other sources of income like W-2 or 1099 income, and you can also roll over any unused depreciation to future years. If you've owned your properties for a few years already, don't worry, you can still do a cost seg and save big on your taxes. This is not tax advice, so consult your CPA to see if you qualify to take advantage of these benefits. Call or text him at 318-469-9861 to get your complimentary property analysis. Once again, that's 318-469-9861. And I'll also include his information in the show notes. You guys don't want to miss out on these tax savings.